The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Steward Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Steward Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us once again. Happy New Year. This is show number 2 for 2022. Wait a minute, 22. There is a theme emerging, and we will do our best, as always, on this show to entertain, inform, and inspire, just like the announcer says at the beginning of the show. So once again, Happy New Year to you and yours, real estate professionals all across the country, buyers, sellers, homeowners. We love you. And this show, if you want to hear it again, simply go to steward.com/radio. That's steward.com/radio. Yeah, you can hear this show, number 410. Once again, you could see it on the YouTube video because sometimes there are visuals that take place on the show. Steward.com/radio. And of course, you can also access the previous 409 shows. So it's about time to get down to business as Real Estate Matters begins right now. We're going to talk to super real estate professionals, and we have a real estate attorney on the show as well. So very interesting stuff is ahead. First, we're going to start with Michael Roddy. He is with Broker Village Property Advisors. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. Nice to be here, and Happy New Year to you. Also, congratulations. This is 410 shows. My God, what a milestone.
It is. Show 400 was a milestone. Show 300, 200. However, I thought about the number 410 just this morning as I was on the way to the station. You know what I thought of?
What?
My son lives in San Antonio, and guess what? They have a 410 loop that goes around it.
There you go.
How about that?
There
we
you
have
go.
the 610 loop. Maybe we'll be here for
We
610
do. We're going to talk a little
shows.
bit about the 610 loop, Beltway 8, 99. I think you had used an analogy. I heard you say this at one time. We are like, what's the
planet Saturn, because
Saturn,
we have
yes.
these loops.
We have the loop, the rings. We have
Exactly.
the rings around the planet, around the city.
Well, I'm glad you're listening to the show, Michael.
So I do.
Super
I catch it
awesome.
every chance I get.
You're the best. First of all, listeners, it's been many years since you've been on the show. Listeners always want to hear you. Let's tell people about your company. There's so many companies right here in Houston, but you work for Village Property Advisors. Let's tell them about that.
We were a brand name franchise for 15 years, and we elected to go independent approximately 6 years ago. So it is Village Property Advisors. We are a boutique real estate firm. There's large firms, there's medium firms, small firms. We would be considered a small firm. I would call us a highly skilled firm with a culture that's centered on customer service and customer satisfaction. Now, that's not to say that the other firms aren't. They absolutely are, and there's some awesome agents that work for the large firms, medium firms, and small firms. But we are, I would consider a boutique firm, and there's a number of them in the city as well that I would consider boutique. They are a high service firm. Usually a smaller clientele than the larger firms, but they tend to provide individual, personalized service. And again, I am not saying that the other companies don't have agents that do that. They absolutely do. The boutique firms tend to specialize a little bit more and can move a little bit faster in items like marketing. I'll give you an example of that. Working with a builder a number of years ago when we were under the franchise, we had a sign that the builder did not particularly like, but we had to use it because we were under the franchise. So I formed a team name and came up very quickly within a month of a new logo and a new sign, one that would befit this builder, and he built inside the loop. in a great area, and he absolutely loved it himself because it presented the image that he wanted. It didn't present the image of the franchise, which at the time was considered more of a company that would work in the suburbs, not one that would work inside the loop. So when I say that we can move a lot faster, I know that some of the larger firms will not let you deviate much from their brand and what they've built over the years. So that's why a boutique company like ours can, and others, can move a lot quicker on that.
Flexibility.
So yes.
Let's tell people, though, one of the things that's interesting about you have been in the real estate profession for many years.
Correct.
And we had just a wild couple years, certainly a wild year last year. You've seen a lot of changes. How have you stayed successful in all these different kind of markets? Because every once in a while, we know that there's brand new realtors that are listening to the show. There are people that are thinking about becoming real estate professionals. There are people that watch real estate TV shows and think it's easy. They see everyone driving Mercedes and selling $10 million homes. It's that easy, just to get your license. But all that said, how have you been successful through the crazy markets right here in Houston?
Working with very good people is one of them. My broker, I've been with him now for 17 years, been at the same company for 17 years, was only at one other real estate company, and I was there for 4.5 years. So doing the math real quick, I've been in real estate for approximately 22 years.
Wait, that's like 2022.
Yes, exactly. There you
are.
With
two.
that,
I told you it was going to merge even
again. Yes.
There's a listener in. No, anyway. That's right. Yeah.
So over those years, you build experience and you build clientele, you build relationships with those folks. And I would say that the majority of my business today, from what I have done in the past, majority of my business comes from, and leads come from, referrals from past clients. Close to 80% comes from past clients. So when you start, now there is a number of people that can jump in right away, brand new, green agents, and because of who they know, they are able to make some quick sales, and it just mushrooms beyond that.
You're making me think of something. Sometime we need to do a show about how people get their first couple deals, because each and every case, I think it's different.
It is.
Depending who you know, maybe sometimes who your family is, how hard your work ethic is, or how bad you want it, all those things. One of the questions, as I mentioned before we started the show, that I've never asked anyone, any real estate professional, because I didn't think of it until now. Yeah, 410 shows later, but I think it's a good one. And that is this: as an independent contractor, you are getting paid by what you sell, and there are at different times you may have, I don't know how it works for you, but let's just say the example is you have 3 clients 1 month, next month you have 10. How do you, to stay balanced in your income and also in your expenditure of energy, how do you stay balanced to keep the pipeline full but not too full, full enough?
Very good question. Your sphere of influence, that gets bantered about quite a bit. However, it is effective. Your past clients, your friends, your family, anybody that you come in contact with, let them know the business that you are in. I'll give you a real quick story about my former wife, who, ever since we were married, I've been in real estate. Well, when we were no longer together and she was remarried, she lived in Sugar Land, and there was a very nice house behind her that she knew the people and knew that they were leaving the country, work-related, but she forgot I was in real estate. So can you believe that? Forgot I was in real estate.
I guess I can.
So you have to stay...
you have to remind people.
You have to stay top of mind with them. So when you were asking if the sales slow down, the best way to go and get those sales picking up and to either get new clients or the repeat clients would be to stay in touch with those that you know, past clients, friends, family, etc. It's been said, I don't do a lot of marketing in the traditional way. It's more personal, where I will sit down and make phone calls and do some direct mail and stay in touch with those past clients and remind them what I do, how I do it, and then ask for the referral. Ask them for it.
Especially in this last year, have you had opportunities where you've had too many buyers and sellers that you're serving, or have you made it? Has it all worked out?
For the most part, it has worked out. There is a period of time that I did have too many buyers, and you might say, well, that's a good thing. In this current market, where you have multiple offers on just about every property out there, making 8 and 10 offers per buyer can be overwhelming. For
all parties, including the realtor.
Absolutely.
You're working hard.
And, it's interesting. When I came up to the studio, I had to make a couple of phone calls, and I did not know. I've got a brand new buyer, just introduced to him by referral, and he wanted to go look at a property in Sunnyside. I called on it. It just came on the market, so I called on it while I was sitting here. Multiple offers. Offer has already been accepted, and this was a high dollar for Sunnyside. High dollar.
Just where's Sunnyside, by the way, for people listening?
It is South Houston.
Sunnyside up? No, anyway.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
South Houston. Okay. Things are sunny and
now,
I'm starting to do a Johnny Carson thing.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead. You'll lose maybe some of your audience by mentioning Johnny Carson, but I know exactly who you're talking about. We'll definitely use him if we go to Ed Sullivan.
Well, yeah, we're going way back. But in the meantime, that just shows how the market is. But bottom line is you have been okay with the balance of people. You haven't had to turn anyone away, and that's a good thing.
Have not had to turn anyone away. A lot of times it's difficult to get across to them the absolutely sizzling market that we are in, and remaining so. A lot of agents had this experience over the last year and a half, and I think it's going to continue into 2022, maybe beyond that. It's hard to predict what's going to happen in our market, but I don't see it really changing much this year.
We're talking with Michael Roddy with Village Property Advisors. Michael, we have about a minute left. What else do you want people to know about what you're doing out there?
Well, working hard, and it would be nice to be able to have more listings, and that's where I was trained. I was trained in listings, very comfortable with sellers. It's just there are not as many, at least in my sphere, of sellers as there are buyers right now. But I am going to work on that for 2022. Listings and sellers will be the best to go forward in 2022 for them and for the agent.
If you were to mention one success principle that has served you in and out year after year that you employ, what would that be?
I would say continuing education. Education, keeping up with the rules, the laws that change, and giving back to the realtor community, serving on committees, etc.
And let's tell people how they can reach you, Michael Roddy.
Yes, 832-541-4942. That's my mobile number. Again, 832-541-4942.
Thank you so much, Michael Roddy.
Thank you, Bill.
When it comes to real estate, everything matters. Whether you're a broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, for informative and entertaining information when it comes to owning, buying, and selling real estate, tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance.
Let's welcome Sarah Gandor. She is a top real estate professional. The company is Martha Turner, Sotheby's International Realty. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bill. It's great to be on the show. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you and everyone listening. It's awesome to see you here. And as far as real estate here in Houston, of course, people know the name Sotheby's all over the world, but here in Houston, they know the name Martha Turner, Sotheby's International Realty. So if someone may be out of state listening on the internet, let's tell them a quick word about your company and its presence right here in the fourth largest city in the United States.
Yes, I would love to. Well, Martha Turner Sotheby's Martha Turner has been in business for over 30 years. We are a luxury, high-end broker firm. We are named by Inman as one of the top broker firms, luxury broker firms. And I have been with Martha Turner Sotheby's a little bit over 2.5 years, but altogether I've been in real estate for 17 years. And I chose Martha Turner Sotheby's Realty because of the mission. Their mission and vision is in alignment with mine. We strive for honesty, integrity, and excellence in serving our clients and doing business dealings. And that's with other broker firms and realtors in the city.
And you have great people that lead your team right there. Paul Killian, Robin Connor, they've been on the show, and they're tremendous people, but they're also great professionals. When you talk about luxury sales, if you term it by dollar volume, on your desk, your broker's desk there at the company, we have transactions that are 10, 20, all sorts of numbers, those high numbers, but yet you cover the full range in your company.
Yes, and speaking about Paul Killian and Paul Silverman
He and I are
and my
both
president.
from Pennsylvania, by the way.
Yes, you told me earlier. That's quite a coincidence. And Robin Connor, my president, my leadership team is superb. It's not only do they guide us very well, and we learn so much with all of our training, our corporate in New York, is also, it's more than just a business firm. We are all like family. We support each other. We are very proactive in the community, and we do a lot of activities together. And we have really great friendships. And that is, that's in addition to my leadership team and what I love about them that you just mentioned.
As far as I talked about the idea of having the pipeline. Here you are, you're serving your buyers and sellers, and as an independent contractor with this great team, this great family even, how do you, in all these years of real estate, like right now and even before, how do you keep the pipeline balanced if you can? How does that work?
Yes, so real estate comes in waves. You can be really, really busy
That's
at
well
one
put
time.
right there.
Yes.
Surf's up.
That's right.
Here comes another real estate wave.
Or you can have a month of where you're not as busy as other months. The way that I balance all my business is that I just remain very active with all my clients, and as of the majority of my business, and just like Michael, who just spoke earlier, is that I get a lot of referrals. And that's been the largest percentage of my business. And also, in hosting open houses, we have a custom portal for potential prospects at Martha Turner that we create and for clients. And so even if they're not active right now, when I meet new people, I put them in the portal based on their criteria that they're looking for in the near future. And I just stay in communication with them. And that usually that's a part of my success as just building up my sphere of influence and gaining more clients and future clients, even if they're not looking right now as of today.
In fact, as all of us, whatever profession we're in, an image just came to mind is that kind of like a car engine or a watch. There's gears that are happening all the time. And if you're out there with X amount of clients at one moment and you see more coming upon, it's almost like to accommodate and to exceed expectations with each and every one, you shift into another gear, downshift, or whatever. How does your mind work when you see where you need to change and modify, be nimble for the extra 2 clients or the lack of the 2 clients?
I guess what I can say regarding what you just said is that it's really finding out everybody's specific needs and taking an interest and asking a lot of questions in their lives based on their family and their background and what's motivating them to change and to move. And I think once I gather all this information, then it gives me the information to give them options and to help them choose what their next step is, whether it be, okay, maybe, consider another 6 months or and it's always what's best for them and their best interest. And I think that that's something that, I just have really engaged with people, and I'm very active in the community too. And that's another place that that's another area where I do a lot of networking and I meet a lot of people. And with that helps me to, always continue to build my clientele.
We're talking with Sarah Gandor, Martha Turner, Sotheby's International Realty. That in itself has a certain bounce and rhythm to it. I like that.
Well, thank you.
As far as the outlook, here we are, 2022. I'm sure your company, and even as you reflect, plan ahead for yourself, but when you have your meetings with Paul and the team over there, what are some of the things that you're anticipating that you can tell us about as the company as you look forward to 2022? How do you approach that with this magnificent team that you have there with the company?
Well, we've got a lot of new ideas that we're all sharing within the firm, whether it be marketing or bringing the community together and new activities. But I would say too is just like based on Ted Jones, who's been on your show.
Weeks ago, yeah.
Yes, just with what he's been analyzing about the market, and he's been saying that there's going to be increases in interest rates. I think that's going to help, if people are sitting on the fence right now trying to decide, do they buy now? Do they wait? I think that's going to help them make a decision, maybe plan a little bit sooner to go ahead and buy because of the increase of interest rates. Or maybe that there's going to be a little bit more transition in, as of the time frame and how people want to make changes in their household. And I think with these, as of according to Ted Jones, with the Federal Reserves and these new security loans and all this, that's going to increase the interest rates, that there's going to be changes in the market. And there's going to be sellers either deciding to sell now, and there's going to be, I feel like, a demand of homes coming on the market, or there's going to be buyers that are going to go ahead and buy homes now instead of waiting to go ahead and be a part of, a lower interest rate.
One of the things I'm thinking about, too, do you see this where people are buying homes for investments in terms of because money is not earning a lot of interest or the stock market is so volatile? Do you see some of your clients where they say, you know what, I've got X dollars over here, I'm going to buy a house or a commercial property or a couple of houses and do some things with it, or just hang on to them and then sell them because it seems like it's going up? You seeing any of that?
Not many of my clients, especially here in Houston. And I think what plays a role there is just for the investment. It depends on how they want to use it. If it's more of a rental property, it's just, determining if the taxes and how much, the rents are. And with the competition right now of rental buildings in the city, I think that has affected a lot of single family and townhome rental homes because there's so many options to rent. And also with Airbnb, that's made some changes too when it comes to the rental market. So as of investment properties regarding investment rental homes, or if they're just, I guess it would be just a holdover, not so much. Most of my clientele is primary residence and secondary homes.
Well, I may be the only person, but the way I'm hearing about all these shortages, lumbers and prices going up, builders can't buy material, all that, there's a part of me that says, hey, just buy a second home just to have a spare, just to have, like a spare tire, so to speak.
Where would you like to buy that second home?
I'm just saying, these are the kind of things that I think about. In the meantime, success. You've been very successful. You would be, just knowing you here for an hour or so or 2 hours total. However, you would be successful in anything you do. Why did you choose real estate? And give us a core principle of success that has served you through all these many years.
Thank you, Bill. That's a very nice compliment. I feel like one of my keys to my success is my faith. And that's the most important to me is I put God first. And from there, everything flows. I kind of just stepped into real estate by error. And because of the very beginning of my success and the excitement and the joy that I had in helping people and not just anyone, I've had the pleasure of meeting people from all over the world, from many different walks and cultures, and that's been so exciting for me. And I'm very blessed to have met so many different people. And then from there, it kind of just took off. And then I've just loved real estate. It's been my passion. I love working with people, and I love all kinds of people. So, and it just carried me from there. And now here I am 17 years later in real estate.
It opens so many doors,
Yes.
doesn't it? Sarah, before we close this segment, we got about a minute left. What else do you want people to know?
I would just say that if you're looking to meet someone to assist you and help you, I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and see how we can go over your needs in real estate, whether that's buying or selling. Also, this year I feel like is going to be kind of like a superpower year. So I would just, encourage everyone to hold on, like you said, like you always say, Bill, like put your seatbelt on. Put your seatbelt on and let's go with it, and wishing everyone a very happy and very blessed 2022.
No doubt. And Sarah, if someone wants to reach out to you, what's the number?
My number is 713-530-1344. 713-530-1344.
Thank you so much, Sarah Gandor. It's great to have guests that actually listen to the show 2 in a row. Thank you, Sarah, for being on the show.
Love the show, Bill. Thank you for having me.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Steward Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Steward Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewardInsurance.com. That's StewardInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
And now let's welcome Jay Paxton. Jay is a real estate attorney, friend of the show, and a super fountain pen aficionado. First, we're going to talk about real estate law. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. Happy New Year to you. It's always great to be here and starting out 2022, excited for the promise of another new year, and hopefully all this COVID mess is behind us and getting behind us, and we're looking forward to a great year.
Well, it's going to be great. It's going to be interesting, no doubt, and I bet it has 1 or 2 or 3 surprises. But in the meantime, here we think about law is so important in every field, especially real estate, because and even when we think about insurance, all the things that are in the backbone of a contract, whether it's insurance or real estate transaction. But there you are every day in the trenches with the things that are going on, and I'm sure there have been plenty of changes this year. And even as we talk right now. But give us an idea for the real estate professionals listening and also potential buyers and sellers and just everybody else. What's going on? Anything new in terms of law that has happened this year?
Well, every 2 years in Texas, our legislature meets in the odd-numbered years, and they meet for roughly 6 months, and they're always rushing to get laws passed and pushed through, and 2021 was no exception. We had almost 12,000 bills introduced in the legislature this past year. In Texas. This is Texas alone, in Austin. Some 4,500 of those bills passed. 20 of them were vetoed by the governor, but then we end up with about 4,500 new laws that have gone into effect, either new laws or modifications of existing laws. And then we figure that probably about 1,500 of those impact real estate in one form or another. So there's a whole lot there. And that is one of the most challenging things about the law practice is keeping up. Everything that I learned 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago perhaps is no longer any good, and we're always having to learn the new stuff. And
kind of like a real estate professional getting the continuing education classes.
That's right. We're always having to learn new stuff. And I had a real problem trying to figure out, well, what can I talk about in a short period of time? 1,500 new laws, and what can I talk about in a short period of time that folks would be interested in? I just picked one, starting out here with one modification to our statutes that have gone into effect, and that is related to releasing judgment liens on the homestead. I wanted to talk about that briefly because many times real estate professionals will find themselves in a situation where they'll have a seller of property that perhaps has and they're trying to sell their homestead, and perhaps they had gotten into some financial trouble. They had a judgment lien, perhaps a child support lien filed against them. Those things are filed in the real estate records, and then when they go to sell their home, their title is clouded. When they have their title examined, the title is clouded, and they can't sell it without getting that dealt with. This year, the legislature passed House Bill 3115, which Governor Abbott signed into law, modifying a law that has been on the books previously to allow for the release of the judgment lien on the homestead. And there is a process that you have to go through in order to clear your homestead. You know, in Texas, your homestead is absolutely protected against things like judgment liens. So if someone gets sued and they have a judgment against them from, say, a credit card or, say, an auto accident or any other kind of a lawsuit, your homestead is protected, and that's in our state constitution. It's been there
That's a good
really
reminder.
from the beginning, and great consumer protection. And yet, that judgment lien, if it's filed against a homeowner, will cloud the title to their property. So we have a process in our statutes which allows for them to get this released or to clear the title of that abstractive judgment. And it's basically a 30 to 45-day process. And what our legislature has done this time is they have streamlined that law and provided that when they go through the right paperwork and file the correct paperwork to get that released, then it's good for a period of approximately 90 days.
So that sounds like an improvement to the process.
It's an improvement to the process.
Way to go, yeah.
It clarifies that, and then you have roughly 90 days to go ahead and close on the sale or a financing of your homestead once the paperwork has been completed. So that's an important thing for people to know.
That's a good one.
We have a lot of other things in place as well. One change that is a major change, if you're an investor in residential real estate, you need to be aware of the changes related to wraparound financing. Wraparound mortgages have, back in history, been very popular, but increasingly less so. And now I think my prediction is they're going to become even much less popular.
Let's define what wraparound financing is. Is that the right term?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. What a wraparound mortgage is let's just give you an example. Let's suppose that you own a piece of property and there's a $70,000 mortgage on it. Okay, and let's say you're going to sell that property for, I'll just pick easy numbers here, $120,000. Okay, so the seller has approximately $50,000 in equity. Okay, so let's say that the buyer has some credit problems, or they can't qualify, or for whatever reason they can't go out and get a new loan. So what they will do is say your buyer, let's say that they've only got $20,000 in their pocket to put down. Okay, so they don't have enough money to come into the closing to be able to pay off that entire mortgage that's in place there. So what the parties will do is they'll do what's called a wraparound loan, where in my example here, your buyer brings $20,000 to the closing. They sign a note for $100,000 to the seller, and then that underlying $70,000 mortgage stays in place. And the way it's supposed to work, and in a perfect world, what happens is that the new buyer pays our seller, then our seller pays the underlying note holder, and out of the monthly payment that they get, and it's kind of like a pass-through. And it just stays in place, and then at some point when that buyer sells the property, the loans all get paid off, and everybody goes home happy. The liens get released, and everything's fine. Well, these types of transactions, they used to be very, very popular in years past. The current situation, though, is that they have become fraught. Well, they've always been fraught with issues for home buyers, because if that underlying mortgage is not paid, then that lender that holds that mortgage, that in my example, the $70,000 mortgage, can foreclose. And they don't even have to give notice to that current homeowner. In fact, they may not even know that that property's been sold. And they foreclose, and that poor homeowner who's been making payments faithfully perhaps to that person they bought the home from, they get a knock on the door one day from some guy that has bought their home at a foreclosure sale and says, you've got 10 days to move out of my house. So it's a real issue for consumers. The legislature has passed Senate Bill 43, which adds a whole new section, Chapter 159, to our finance code, which regulates these wraparound mortgages. Now, there are a few exemptions to it, some exclusions, but basically what this law requires is that if you do wraparound financing, you really need to be registered and licensed by the finance authorities, and then there are also requirements in this law for giving disclosure notices to the buyer, disclosing the amount of the debts that's on the property, If the seller in that transaction fails to do that, the buyer can come in and rescind the transaction, and they can even rescind the transaction after the closing and go back against the seller and get a complete refund of all the money they've paid down and the closing costs and everything if the disclosures were not made. So a lot of things,
complicated.
It's a very complicated and convoluted law. And so the reason that I bring it up today is just that if you are an investor or if you're a real estate professional that is involved with investors that do wraparound financing, I would say before you do another one of these things, because this law became effect January 1st of this year, okay, so it's just now into effect. Before you close any kind of a wraparound transaction, if you are doing any of those kind of transactions, you go get a good real estate lawyer and read this law carefully, and you make sure that you comply with it because there are some real concerns in here for people that don't.
Good to know all that stuff. Jay, we have about a minute and 30 seconds left. Real quick, I mentioned you were a fountain pen aficionado, if that is the correct term. There may be a more exotic term, but in the meantime, since I've known you, I too have been buying fountain pens, and they are wonderful things for people that like to write. What's the latest on fountain pens?
Well, there's always something new in the fountain pen world, and the reason that I love them, with technology that we have now where all of us, it seems like our lives are run by computers and tablets and cell phones. Oh, I just got a message that popped up on mine here. There's a part of us that just wants to throw all that technology
like the vinyl
behind
record album, yeah,
and go back to the old times. Like one of my sons buys nothing but vinyl LPs.
There you go.
One of my other son buys mechanical watches. He won't wear an electronic watch. And I love fountain pens because they're sort of a reminder of the way people used to write long letters to them to friends and relatives, and it just is a good thing to. I love the flow of the ink and the paper.
There
it's just very interesting.
The shine of the ink and all that. It makes writing fun, and I like to write. Just a side note: I grew up in Catholic school where they were very strict on penmanship, and I enjoyed writing. And back then, we had these little cartridge pens. So, all that said. One last word. Anything else, Jay, real quick? 20 seconds.
Just looking for a great new year in 2022. Good Lord willing, be 45 years practicing law and still trying to get it all right.
Come back again sometime, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Paxton. Thanks for being on the show, Jay.
Thanks, Bill.
If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Steward Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewardinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewardinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Steward Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Steward Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risk. Here he is once again. Everybody waits for this segment far and wide, especially when they're driving at their computer, wherever they are. Here he is, John Bramlett with Steward Insurance. John, Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year, Bill. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, there's something fresh about this new year, and insurance. There's something fresh about insurance when we renew the policy and all these things. I just look forward to talking about insurance, and I look forward to the new year too.
Well, I am too, and we're very excited about 2022 at Steward Insurance, and we're looking forward to having our existing clients continue to be properly insured and our new clients to be properly insured.
In fact, when we take out any kind of an insurance policy, whether it's broker E&O, a policy for our home, the time marches on from the time of the inception of the policy, just like the inception of a new year.
Absolutely. So we're here to help, and that's kind of what I'd like to talk a little bit about today, are some of the options that we have available for our clients and prospective clients to help them kick off the new year to being properly insured.
And who doesn't like options?
Everybody loves options. Everybody loves options. So as our regular listeners know, Steward Insurance is an independent insurance broker owned by Stewart Title. We offer both personal and business lines of insurance property or products. On the business line, we work with real estate professionals and businesses for their business insurance. So title and attorney agents, property managers, real estate brokers. And we have a variety of products that we can offer and plans that we can build to ensure that, that when life does happen, and it's going to happen, that there's coverage out there.
And as you lay that foundation, I want to expand that and say that is for the listeners right here at the time of broadcast. You're not just helping people in Houston, Texas, as big as it is. You're helping people all over the United States. In fact, people listen on the internet. We know that. So they could also take advantage of the work that you do at Steward Insurance.
Absolutely. I'm working with a group out of Palm Springs, California right now on some commercial property that they're looking to insure, and just recently renewed somebody in Florida. So we do have clients all over the country.
It's awesome. In fact, you might be the 9th real estate wonder of the world. You might have seen that coming from my email there a week ago. But anyway, that said, tell us about these options.
So from a business perspective, we've got several options that we can work with. There's a professional liability, or you may have heard it called errors and omissions. It's professional services you provide. So if someone feels like you have not done your professional services in the proper manner and file a claim against you or suit against you, this coverage can come into play. So it's a bit like malpractice for a business professional. So that's a critical one, and most businesses need to consider that coverage. We have general liability that's out there that's, if a client or a guest gets injured on your property or a property you're representing, that can provide some coverage. You look at a commercial property, so you've got your own business property. So if your business property is damaged due to a situation, your servers, your computers, your desks, they've got some coverage there. You can combine those two, the general liability and the commercial property, many times for a business owner's policy. So that's a nice one for some agencies that have the opportunity to do that. We've got employment practice liability. So as a business owner, it protects you in case you have an employee that feels like you've mistreated them, and the employee has a claim against you that could help with some of the defense costs.
So many things to think about.
There are. The general liability policy we talked about helps if somebody gets hurt on your property. What about an employee? What if an employee gets hurt while they're doing their job? That's where a workers' compensation plan can come into play and be very helpful. So if we're a real estate broker and we've got 30, 40, 50, 100 agents all over the city or all over the state, to be able to have that type of coverage to protect your staff is important. And then, as we talk about quite a bit here, the cyber liability policy, what's that cost if a breach of data, whether you store or you have access to, somebody gets in there and steals that data, what's that cost going to be? So the protection for that.
And when you mention the word liability, real estate brokers, real estate professionals, one of the things I'm thinking about right now in the past 2 years, regardless of the size of the real estate transaction dollar-wise, brokers and agents themselves are handling more transactions than ever. With the volume and the people that they're helping, and even the people that they're helping, the buyers that they're helping that end up giving up and falling out and saying, hey, this market's too crazy, I'm going to wait. Still, the volume goes up. When the volume goes up, so does the risk.
Absolutely. So you
better have this stuff in place.
What's the old adage about every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So yes, it's fantastic that we're in a great market, and yes, it's fantastic that we've been busy. But that also means that people, and then on top of that, with the pandemic, more and more people are working remotely. More and more people are working from their own computer versus through a secured network. So those risks are out there, and those risks increase. And the bad actors recognize that and take advantage of it.
I'm thinking about, now no one could accuse me of being an actuary, but it's about numbers all the time when we think about risks. And it's just a side note, I think, of the term actuary, because in the Wall Street Journal just recently they talked about, like 2 days ago, how hard it is, how many people fail the actuary license or whatever that licensing is. It takes them a couple times because the test is so hard, because they're trying to figure out probabilities. It's fascinating.
Well, and that's, if you relate that back to our world, that's why it's important to have that conversation with an insurance advisor. so that you can at least walk through and understand what those risks are. And then you can make an informed decision. And you might want to have the most robust coverage in the world, and you might want to have a very basic plan. And that's fine, but if you understand what your coverage is and what it's not, and you understand what risk you're keeping yourself and what risk you're placing on the insurance firm, and then in our world, that's properly insured. So at least you understand what coverage you have. And that's the most important thing, whether it's, as I said, the most robust plan in the world or a minimal plan. As long as you understand that coverage and that's accepting to you at this point in your life, then that's all right.
Indeed, you need to understand the coverage that you're willing to, the risk that you're willing to take, and the what your plan actually covers as far as the policy. And most of us, maybe some people do, it's very hard to read word for word the insurance policy, but it's very easy to consult with one of the insurance professionals at Steward Insurance because they'll talk you through it. They'll help you with questions you may not have known to ask.
Absolutely.
As they've done with me.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you being a client. And it's the same thing on the personal side. So your home plan, your renter's insurance, auto, if you've got a vacation home, if you've got investment property, you've got a watercraft, if you're living in an area where there's heavy wind.
I mean, I don't, but...
But those are all other aspects that we can help, and we take the same approach, that same conversation, that same time to work with our clients to make sure whether it's their personal or their business insurance that they are properly insured.
And once again, reminding people, yes, you're here in Houston, maybe listening at the time of broadcast, but Stewart Insurance is there at Stewart.com to help people all over the USA.
Absolutely. They can learn more about us at Stewart.com. They can email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com, or they can give us a call at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827.
John, I'm getting a feeling there's someone in Fort Bend, Indiana right now driving to their new home or to their real estate closing, and they need home insurance. What's that number again?
866-798-2827.
There it is. Yeah.
What about those people in Wyoming that need that wind insurance?
Oh, yeah. That's right. What number?
866-798-2827.
You know, it's good to start the year where we repeat the number a couple times. One more just since it's a new year.
866-798-2827.
StewardInsurance.com. John Bramlett, thank you so much for being on the show, and Happy New Year again. We got a lot to talk about this year, don't we?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
And as we close the show number 2 of the brand new year, 2022, here he is, Michael Roddy with Village Property Advisors. Michael, a final thought before we close things down.
Yes, I think a good thought that a lot of people have been asking over the last week is, if I buy a home now or in the near future, will that home decline in price? And I have to say that it's important to know that home prices are not projected to decline. You mentioned Ted Jones earlier, and he's got a seminar coming up. And
January 17th that week. Contact
Yes.
your Stewart Title Business Development Officer to find more detail. He'll be all over the city.
That's what I was going to say, but you said it well. But I did hear a broadcast that he did, and he and other experts that are out there, they're just not forecasting that the home prices will decline. As a matter of fact, they're going to appreciate. They may not appreciate as much as they have over the last year, but they will continue to appreciate. So now is the time. Great time.
No
Interest
guarantee,
rates are
of
low.
course. Our disclaimer, we don't know. It can go up
That's
or
right.
down, but it's
That's
a
right.
good bet. Real estate people, some people just say it keeps going up. Michael Roddy, how can people reach you?
832-541-4942. Your trusted advisor, 832-541-4942.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Here she is with Martha Turner, Sotheby's International Realty, Sarah Gandor, doing tremendous work 24/7. Sarah, as we close the show, Sarah, what else do you want people to know about what you're doing or anything else?
I would like for everyone to know that in choosing to work with a realtor, a professional realtor, take your time to choose wisely, because it will determine how the transaction, it's an emotional experience for sellers and for buyers. So I would advise choose best, and someone that's going to really take into consideration what's in your best interest for you. And if you'd like to reach me, you can reach me at 713-530-1037. 713-530-1344.
Sounds like you said 713-530-1344.
Yes.
A quick question, Sarah. So, Sarah, if you were moving to Indiana or another state where you didn't have a license and you're talking about looking for a real estate professional, name at least one thing that you would look for in that professional that would be helping you buy real estate.
I would make sure that they are to advise that they are at a reputable firm and they have a very solid reputation behind the realtor. And we're in 72 markets. Martha Turner Sotheby's Realty is. So if I'm not able to assist a client here or a consumer here and they choose to move to another state or to a city, then we can easily connect them with one of my colleagues in a different state, in a different office.
Very nice. Sarah Gander, one more time on the phone number, Sarah.
713-530-1344.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Here he is. One last word. We don't know if he's going to talk about law or fountain pens. You never know. Jay Paxton, real estate attorney. Jay, last word.
Well, just looking forward to a great new year, Bill. Excited for 2022. New things in our real estate market, I'm sure. Just one parting word, I guess, would be if you're selling property and you feel like you have some issues, some title issues, it's good to get them checked out early. You might have to call your real estate lawyer to get to work on the clearing of things and dealing with title issues and some of the things that we talked about here today. So we're looking forward to another great year and looking forward to more exciting transactions and closings this coming year with our friends in the real estate community.
And thank you, Jay Paxton. And thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik, together with John Bramlett, Tom Carpentier, Larry Warren, and a team of literally, about 6,500 people. Thanks for listening. Simply go to steward.com/radio, steward.com/radio to see this show, hear this show, or any past shows. That's steward.com/radio. And thanks again for listening. We'll see you next week.
When it comes to real estate, everything matters. Whether you're a broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, for informative and entertaining information when it comes to owning, buying, and selling real estate, tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Steward Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Steward Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewardInsurance.com. That's StewardInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Steward Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit StewardInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit StewardInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.